is the only one you need to change. It gave you this private string squares, which is a two-dimensional array, okay, of string objects. Once we have squares, it's not instantiated yet. Squares is going to be equal to a new string. Now this is my constructor. Takes no parameters. A new string of size 10 by 10, because that's what size every board is. So then I want to do a two-dimensional for loop or nested for loop. The first one goes through each row, okay? And every time it goes to row 1, then it's going to look at each individual element in row 1. And it's going to go until it is equal to squares 0 index dot length and increment. Squares RC is going to be equal to a dash. That's all they want in each one. All right, our toString is our string representation. Now when I started this, I did my nested for loops, just exactly as the ones above. You could literally copy and paste this down from here. But inside of it, I was printing. However, if I look at my toString, that was silly of me, because toStrings returns a string. So I had to make sure I had return at the bottom, so I had to make a string that I could return. So instead of in here just printing everything out, printing my array, I'm giving a toString representation. Same nested for loop right there, so it's not as tough as you think. Result plus equals squares RC plus a space, because I'm going to put a space between each of my elements. The important part here was this for loop. I did this does row 1, each element, all 10 going across. Before I go to row 2, I need to go to a new line for that result and then return the result. It's actually pretty easy. So far we've used the exact same nested for loop for each thing that we've done, for our toString and for our board, or for each two thing that we've done, sorry. Okay, now we had to add a ship. This gets a little tough. And it said first do it for horizontal. So you're going to have a row, what row they want to do, try to put one in. What column do they want to start at? Going across my rows at the very position, at 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. How long is the ship going to be? And then they're going to say if it's horizontal. So I said if horizontal. First thing I've got to check is that the row and the col, what if they put -1? Or what if they put 11? It's not going to work. I'm going to get an array index out of bounds error. So what I want to do is check if the row is less than 0, or the row is greater than square's length, if the column is less than 0, or the column is greater than or equal to the square's 0 length, column length, okay? If it is, return false. I'm out of this, can't add a ship, okay? If column plus length is greater than the square's length, so what if they give me a column, it's 10 by 10, right? And they want to start at 7, and they want to make it 4. Well, that's going to give me 11. So that's greater than the length of any of my row. All right, the column plus the length, square 0, it's going to be too long. It's not going to go across. I'm going to run to an array index out of bounds. So that one can't do it. Anytime I return false, if any of these happens, we're out of this add ship. And I'm sure in their, I'll show you in the other class, they probably have, if add ship equals false, then it's going to print, you cannot put a square there, or it's going to say, let me see what they say real quick. It will say, there's one, new ship added. I want one that says you didn't. I want one that's going to say you can't put one there, because I know that can happen. Oh, you need ships of 3 and 4 length to play. I didn't know that. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know. But anyhow, it'll have somewhere where if it was the wrong size, it wouldn't go. So if it's, a bad number, or if the column they start in plus how much long they want it to be is greater than the number of squares left in the row, then it's going to be false. Otherwise, I have to look at each individual square. Now this is where I started to mess up, to make sure that they're all blank, that they only have a dash in them, that there's no B's or misses there yet or anything. So, or no squares rather, no B's. So I am going to start at I. So let's say I've got 10 across and I want to start it at 2. So that would be, or 3, I'd be at index 2, okay? And then I'm going to go less than the column, which is 2 plus the length of 4 of 6. So I'll go 0 through 5. And if any of those, as it's going through, if any of those is not equal to a dash, so notice the not side goes in front when you use a dot equals for strings. If any of those is not a dash, I'm out of it. So I may start along and hey, the first one at column 2 is the third is great. There's nothing, it's a dash, so I'm good. I check the one after it, it's a dash, I'm good. I check the next one, it's a B. All right, not good, it's already been used. So this whole one cannot be added. So I return false. So now I've checked all of the positions that they want to put it in, and if it's good, I'm still in it. Finally, I can go through the same thing. This is the same for loop here, but it has to be done separately because I have to check them all before I can put them all in. And I'll go through the same number of spaces, squares, row, and that I is a B. I'll put a B in each spot. All right, now, and by the way, and then I return true. So it's going to return true only when this happens. Any of these others, it returns false, and it won't happen. It'll say you can't add a ship. All right, now underneath this, and in here, you need to do then the same thing, all the same code, but you'll copy all this and do it for if it's vertical. And then you're going to have to make the changes for row in length instead of column length and see if you can get that to work out for you. Okay? I did want to show you in Battleship. Let's see if there's some code here. I want to go to somewhere it says like to add a ship. Add a ship, look at that. So if it's good, if you can do it, add a new ship, else we can't put a ship there. Okay, so it's looking, if add ship is true, interesting. And then we have found ship, add ship. If B add ship. Okay, so if it returns true, which is what we have at the very bottom, that none of those falses came up, it's going to add the ship. If any of those falses happen, this is what gets returned instead. All right, that's enough of my video for there. So now you try to add in the second part here on the board, add ship. You're going to do the same thing with horizontal in here, because you want that return true if everything works out okay. And then I want you to try to do one of these other 3 methods. Okay? And see if you can work based on what we were kind of logicalizing, you can continue on. That's the end of my video.